This edition promises to be a slam dunk. We will dive into the best stuff of the week, and how cool is it that Jamie Holine makes an appearance on the show. No matter where your view is from, this one's a winner. Sportsnight is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
I'm Howie Shapiro. We have a fairly short, we got a lot to catch up on, but not a lot of highlights tonight.
No, we only have a couple of pieces of video due to the snowstorm.
Yep.
A lot of teams lost games last week. Anything that was happening Tuesday or Wednesday last week did not make it. When Nordic skiing can't go because there's too much snow, you know there's a lot of snow in Minnesota.
Right, absolutely.
But we do have a lot to get caught up on. We are going to talk about the boys hockey team. Their one game last week. They returned to action on Thursday, hosting the Osseo Orioles in a heated Battle of the Birds. Both teams came in at 5-4, so this was a key early season matchup in the middle of the Northwest Suburban standings. It turned into an emotional roller coaster that kept fans on their feet until the very end. Cardinals come out a little flat in the first, and the Orioles do take advantage. Harry Laborde with a shot from the point. Drew LeBerg tips it 5-hole on Austin Durkop. Osseo on the board less than 2 minutes in. Orioles add to the lead off the offensive faceoff. Tie up on the draw. Eli Larson grabs a loose puck, puts it top shelf. One motion. It's 2-0 Osseo. Cards had 2 5-minute major penalties in the second period. Osseo able to convert on one. LeBerg's wrist shot from the right side somehow snuck through, trickled in. Osseo up 3-0 going to the third. Cardinals' second major carried over into the third, but they like to be aggressive shorthanded. It pays off. Ben Kish using his speed to get in on the breakaway. Great individual effort. Cards are on the board. 15th shorthanded goal of the season for the Cardinals. That's amazing. Special teams were definitely special for the Cardinals on Thursday. Cards on the power play. Blast from the point is stopped. But Jack Engberg right there to clean up the rebound. And it's a one-goal game with more than 7 minutes left. Cardinals have the momentum. Great chance for Kish. Beautiful move to get in, but he rings it off the post. Cardinals had to kill off another penalty late in the game, and unfortunately their comeback falls short. Luke Sawicki scores into the empty net with less than a second left on the clock. And a little instant karma right there. He also got a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct at the end. Not that it matters to get a penalty at the end. That's one the Cardinals really, as they look at their season, they would like to have another chance at those Osseo Orioles because they were really, really flat in the first period. Really, the first period and a half. The officiating all night was questionable both ways, but they definitely took the majority of the penalties, and 2 5-minute majors called against the Cardinals in the middle frame.
I mean, you could tell that they hadn't played in 2 weeks and they didn't have a lot of practice time because of the weather. I think they had only practiced Monday that week before the game. So you're right, they did come up almost through 2 periods. I thought they looked flat, but they came out in that third period and they played really well, and they really took it to them. But unfortunately, they just couldn't get that lead.
Well, the Cardinals were back on the ice on Saturday, taking on a very strong Centennial club. Outshot in this one, 38-14. The Cardinals lose 6-0. Austin Durkop made 32 saves in the loss. Upcoming, they host Totino Grace on Thursday. And Howie?
We'll be there!
And then they host Cloquet Esco Carleton on Saturday. That Cloquet team, like 8-2 right now, so pretty good squad. So the girls hockey team only had one game last week.
They did.
So why not play a little extra hockey?
And they're used to it.
So they make a habit of it, to be certain. They went to overtime with Elk River Zimmerman, and they beat the Elks for the second time in as many weeks by the same score, 3-2 in overtime. The Cardinals now 3-2 in overtime. Sydney Bernovic had a goal and an assist. Lily McKenzie had a goal. Kylie Scott, her second overtime game-winning goal of the season. Brooklyn Johnson had the other. And then, of course, the two that went to shootout, unfortunately, the Bluebirds came up on the short end in that tournament. We get a chance to see him again for the first time in a while on Tuesday. Knock on wood, no storms come in, but they host Armstrong Cooper Wings Tuesday night. over at the Ice Forum in Champlin, and then they will take on Roseville Matamidi next Tuesday, so they'll get a whole week off.
Yeah, of their 16 games, 8 of them are in overtime. I talked to Coach Gutty just before the show tonight because we are going to be there tomorrow night. And he said he was going to maybe reach out to David LeVake and see what the state record is for overtime games in a season. It's got to be pretty close.
8, if
it's not the record.
If it's not, it's got to be close. Wrestling team. After that long break, they went down to Florida. And again, as we talked about last week, felt, maybe they got even more of a benefit from the trip to Florida without having any official matches in. They came back and they got their first conference victory of the year, beating the Blaine Bengals 45-27. Kostick, Hargrave, and Ross came up with 3 straight wins in those middleweights to really turn it around for the Cardinals. I think they closed it out with like 3 or 4 pins as well. Hollister, his first varsity pin. Ross had to go to overtime to get his pin, but that's a big confidence-boosting win for the Cardinals. And they back it up with a pair of victories at the Buffalo Duels on Friday. The Cardinals beat the host Buffalo team 42-36. This one was tied 36-all going to the heavyweight. Hayden Skillings, Mr. Reliable, said no problem. He went out and dropped his man to the mat to finish it with an exclamation point. Then against Monticello, they split them evenly, seven weight classes for each team. But the Cardinals won the last 4 all by pin, and that is why they were able to pull away for the 37-28 win against Monticello.
I guess in that match against Blaine, they started out a little slow, but then they really poured it out at the end to come win that. So they started to pick it up a little bit as of late.
Well, and they're heavy. Their upper weights are definitely where their strengths lie. They host Anoka on Friday, always the biggest match of the year, and then they will be at Champlin for an invitational on Saturday. Gymnastics team, unfortunately, due to a scheduling error, was not able to go to Princeton last weekend. They will be at Elk River on Thursday this week, and they have a tournament at Osseo on Saturday. Swimming and diving, this one's on me. I dropped the ball on getting the results from Coach Doug Donaldson for the first week, and then last week I was late getting into it, but we have them all now. So they started their season way back on, I think, about the 20th of December against Spring Lake Park. Oh, sorry, the 15th. They lost that one 91-80, but starting to see some things, and they have not seen really their full lineup yet to this point in the season, but Denton had the lone first place finish. Ling had his second place finish in the 100 butterfly. A third place finish for Wedling, also in the 100 butterflies. They went 2-3. A couple of second place finishes in the relays. Then the Bengal invite, the Cardinals finished in 7th place. Mitch Tronson, a second place finish in the 500 freestyle. He's off to a good start this season. So is Jackson Ling. And Nate Larson got a 5th place finish in the 100 backstroke. Medley teams, which include those 3 in both of those relay teams, I think, also finished very well. Against the Anoka Tornadoes, the Cardinals came up empty despite grabbing a bunch of first place finishes. Their 200 medley relay team was first place. Mitch Tronson was first in the 200 free and the 100 butterfly. Ling was first place in the 500 free and second place in the 200 IM. Schultz grabbed the first place in the 50 free, and Zach Carter was first on the diving board. Another first place finish for the 200 freestyle relay. But that shows the importance of having some contenders in the middle. 2nd, 3rd, 4th place finishes come up huge.
No question. Well, the Cardinals' only dual meet last week is one of the most highly anticipated events every season, the battle for supremacy on the pool deck. Coon Rapids was the home team for this year's matchup against their pool mates from Blaine. The Cardinals have been stronger and faster in each meet this season, and that continued against the Bengals, keeping it close until the final event. Cardinals looking for a strong start against the Bengals. They put a stellar team together for the 200 medley relay. Mitch Tronson starts in the backstroke with Frank Denton handling the breaststroke. He gets Jackson Ling into the water with a lead for the butterfly, and then Nolan Schultz finishes strong, getting the win in 149.95. Well, the Bengals' performance in the 200 free meant the meet was tied going into individual medley. And Tronson was determined to untie it for the Cardinals' favor, in the Cardinals' favor. He flies for the win in the 200 IM in just 2:15.70, almost 15 seconds ahead of second place. The Bengals answered by taking the lead in the next event. Luke Courier cuts into the lead with a strong performance off the board. This forward 1.5 part of a 124.9 Courier posted to take first place. But the Cardinals could never quite catch up. Mitch Johnson with another outstanding swim in the 500 freestyle. He finishes in 5:17.07, again way ahead of everyone else, but the Cardinals' depth just not enough to get them in front. Goes to the final event with the Cards coming up short. 96.5 to 81.5 is the final score in favor of the Bengals.
Yeah, and they went right into a tournament on Saturday down at the University of Minnesota. And while they were the last place team in their division, Coach Donaldson was really excited about some of the swims that he saw. And, you know, we're seeing already, and again, they have yet to have their full lineup really in the water. So at the same time, Mitch Tronson off to a great start. Again, Jackson Lang, Nate Larson, Denton has had some nice swims and marking up the leaderboard for the Cardinals. So, you know, less of a team event at the tournament because the tournament is so strong, but really excited about the way his guys are swimming. He's obviously moving guys around from different events each meet. So watch for this team to be maybe turning some heads come the end of the season. They're at Armstrong on Thursday, and with any luck, they'll have their full complement of swimmers all at the meet at the same time for the first time this year. And then on Saturday, they will host the 7AA True Team meet. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Nordics event last Wednesday obviously canceled along with everything else school-related. They'll be at Elm Creek on Tuesday this week and then again on Thursday next week. Alpine ski team has a couple of races in the books now. They're the ones that started the season on the 20th. Boys finishing in 10th place to start the year. Sartwell was their top finisher in 52nd. Van Norman was not far behind in 56th. Chesser finished in 68th, and Simon right behind him in 69th. Augustin was in 75th. For the girls, a little bit better finish, a 9th place finish overall. Carly Hafferman, a 26th place finish in just over a minute. Staley was in 45th, Sides in 46th. Weinholz and Kelly in 61st and 63rd, respectively. Race 2 was last week, also at Mountain. The mountain one, not Trollhagen. Spirit Mountain, thank you.
The mountain.
Just
a wrestler, wasn't he? The mountain.
Completely drew a blank. So both first two races are at Spirit Mountain. Boys again finished 10th place. Leaderboard almost identical. Similar story for the girls. Boys had their top two guys at least finish in a combined less than 1 minute. That is definitely good to see their times dropping a little bit. They've got to be loving all this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The girls team finished in 9th place again. Carly Hafferman, an even better finish in 20th place overall. Staley was 34th, Sides in 61st, Strongman in 67th, and Zoe Scheck right behind her in 68th. They will have races 3 and 4 will both be at Trollhagen, the one that I remember.
Yeah, not the mountain place.
Well, the Cardinals moving right along. Boys basketball team, again, supposed to play on Tuesday. Yep. That didn't happen. We were really looking forward to that matchup with Cambridge Isani, a section rival. But instead, the Cardinals' first game of the new year came on Friday when they hosted the Champlin Park Rebels. Cards won the first 2 games of their long homestand and were hoping to keep the momentum going against the Rebels. Champlin had lost 4 straight, but they were not to be overlooked, and this one was a barn burner to the bitter end. Tight ball game early in the first. Great passing for the Rebels. They find Luke Graff on the right side. He hits the 3. He had 5 3-pointers in the game. That put Champlin up by 1. Kaijon Cummings Coleman is the train that just keeps rolling. Gets the strip, the breakaway, and the dunk. He had 23 of his game-high 35 in the first half. Cards up just 3 at the break. Tied up early in the second. Cardinals find Jackson, I ain't my daddy Hetwer, open on the wing. He drops the bomb to put Coon Rapids back in front. How about some more from Kaijon? Great drive, draws the defense, wouldn't go. He gets a rebound, beats Jackson Young. He gets the bounce, 3 of his 13 in the game. C Squared, showcasing his skills off a miss at the other end, runs the floor in just the prettiest no-look pass you'll ever see. Kenny Jones lays it up and in. He had 11 against the Rebels. Cards led by 8, but the Rebels mount a late comeback. Amory Peterson hits a 3-pointer that gets Champlin Park back within 1. Game tied now. Rebels able to get the Cardinals running a bit on defense, overcommitting. They find Joe Cummings alone underneath for the easy basket. Champlin Park up 76-74. Final seconds, it's a 1-point game. Inbound goes to Ray Bennett. He drives the lane, but his shot just rims out. And the Cardinals lose a heartbreaker by the slimmest of margins, 76-75 the final.
Yeah, I was getting some texts. It was a game. You should have been there. You should have been there. And I know Neil Hennon was there, but it's a tough one to lose because you're on your home court and you figure you've got an opportunity. The Cardinals probably maybe the better team, but unfortunately they weren't that evening. But congratulations to C Squared as he won the Metro 100%. Player of the Week by a landslide. So, young man, you're so much fun to watch, and we love it.
He had one during the football season, now one during the basketball season. Very impressive, and absolutely congratulations. They host Blaine on Tuesday this week, and then at Andover on Thursday, and that is a very good
big one.
Battle, rivalry, conference section. That should be a fun one.
That should be a lot of fun.
Girls basketball team had just the one game last week as well at Champlin Park on Friday. They lose 72-35. Casey Beck had a dozen. Kayla Green had 5. Alex Schmidt had 4. And 2 points apiece for Aaliyah Graham and Kaylee Bierman. Girls at Blaine on Tuesday this week. They will host Andover on Thursday. We've got some girls and boys hockey coming up this week. On Tuesday, it's girls hockey against Armstrong Cooper Wings. And then on Thursday, the boys hockey team hosts the Eagles from Tutino Grace. We'll see the boys basketball team at Anoka next Tuesday against the Tornadoes. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Allie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young. Say good night.